Hey YouTube, so it's Sunday, and personally on Sundays I try not to do a lot of things because it's just a little something I got going between me and God. It has nothing to do with religion. It's just, I believe that if God needed a rest, then I needed rest, and that's about the end of that. So I'm not really doing anything today. Just to give you a little update on things, the chicken coop is vacant because we gave the chickens to some farmers that we know, and or a farmer we know, and it's a lot easier now on Sally. She doesn't have to be walking over here to take care of the chickens because she was doing that. She liked doing it, but it got to be too much, so now she doesn't have to do it. So it just sits there now. I probably ought to tear it down, but I'm just going to leave it there for now. So anyway, but that's not really the issue today. Got a lot of nice leaves yet. That's not the issue. What I want to do is make a video about money and making money in this lumber business and stuff, because people seem to be all messed up over things, and I'll just explain to you what happens so that you know. Let me get set up. So anyway, I was watching a video today. Because it's Sunday, what I do is I always walk the dog. I make sure I do that. And if there's anything that needs to be cleaned up, I try to get it cleaned up as soon as I can. Right now there's a lot of leaves that need to be cleaned up, but I can't really clean the leaves up because the wind is blowing so hard that as soon as I pile the leaves up somewhere, the wind blows them all over the place. So I'm going to wait until we get a nice calm day here, and hopefully we'll get one this coming week and the leaves will all fall down. They're falling, but they're taking their good old time. And what I don't want to see is, I hope that we don't get freezing weather, it rain gets on top of the leaves, and then I'm not able to clean them up. But that's the story with the leaves. Anyway, so I was watching this video about a guy who, and I'm not going to mention any names or anything, but the guy builds garages for a living, and he was talking about the price of lumber right now. Now, just to, you know, I watch a lot of videos and I hear a lot of guys say things, and a lot of things are said by people who really don't know what they're doing, and they're trying, but they're learning, and they haven't learned anything from anyone else. So what they're learning is old stuff that they're just picking up because they're trying something new. But what they learn as they go has already been learned in the past, but because the younger people are kind of ignorant, they don't take on the information from the elders, people that they should, and then they think that they've done something new or figured something out that, you know, really isn't true, because they just didn't know that the information was available before. Alright, so let me just tell you that over the past 50 years, I have been in the construction business, the excavating business, the real estate business. We built homes, you know, in the construction business, and all kinds of other things. I've built bridges, I've built homes, I've built steel buildings, and when I say, you know, mid-rise buildings, no high-rise, but mid-rise buildings. And I've done well at doing all that stuff. The reason that I've done well, I believe, is because of what I was taught from the people who were elderly in my family and who had done things in business prior to me. And I took the time to listen to them because I believe what they had to say was important. All right, so let me tell you where we're at right now and what that has to do with now. So last year and the year before, I was going down to Walmart, and or down to Lowe's. I'm sorry, Lowe's. And the price of 2x4 is 8 foot long, and I can judge all lumber prices just by 2x4s. So anyway, the price of 2x4 is 8 foot long was $2.75 about 3 years ago. It went up to $3.19 last year, which I thought was freaking ridiculous. Because in business, for all the years I built homes, I never paid more than $1.29 for a 2x4. Now, the price of 2x4s is not something new to me. I mean, I've been keeping up on the price of lumber for years and years and years, because I also had stock in, you know, some of the lumber companies that are much bigger than what the businesses than what I had, things like Georgia Pacific and stuff like that. So the point is that right now I'm pricing 2x4s just to know the price, and they're $7.25 for a 2x4. One 2x4, $7.25. Now we can sit here and we can say, oh, they're a rip-off, somebody's ripping somebody off, this, that, and the other thing, and maybe they are. But the point of the matter is if you're in business and you're not keeping track of the price of lumber, then you deserve to be beaten up by this thing, because knowing the price of lumber is no more less important than a farmer knowing what the weather's going to be. You know, he's got to hope for the best and prepare for the worst. And the same thing with building, being a builder. When I was building houses, I realized that I needed more lumber than most places had. So what I did was I built a lumber yard, and I started buying lumber by the skid rather than buying it by the job, which helped me to have all the lumber I ever wanted, all kinds of lumber, and I never cared whether I sold it or not, as long as I had it for my business. So that was the one thing, the way I protected myself. But it wasn't just lumber. I also did the same thing with paint, nails, brackets, all kinds of stuff that I knew I used a lot of. Water heaters, you know, I had a whole room full of water heaters, sinks, cabinets, things that I knew I needed, I bought. And I leave them sit. Because no matter how long they sat, I could always charge the interest off of them to get my money back for what it cost me to have them sit. And that's part of the problem that people don't seem to understand today. You know, right now, if you have 2x4s sitting on your property and you're about to sell them, if you're not selling them for $7.25 a piece, 2x4s by 8, in my opinion, you're just throwing your money away. Even if you paid previously $2 a piece for them, you've got to sell them now for $7. Why? Because if you're going to buy more 2x4s, the $2 you get now isn't going to do you any good to buy more. You've got to be able to, unless you know a place where you can get them that cheap. Otherwise, you've got to get $7 for them. It's that simple. I told my kids, I try to tell people, whoever asks me, when you go into business, and let's say you're in business and you have a family and whatever's going on, everything you own, everything you have, everything you pay for has got to be paid for by your business. So you've got to keep a real good lookout on the money end. You know, you don't just wait for it to happen and foolishly fall into something. You watch it closely to know what's going on. The price of lumber right now is very high compared to what it used to be. And what I'll say is, like the lumber that I have here, roughly on these two piles sitting outside here, I'll just call that one pile, you're looking at about 900 board feet. On the inside of the kiln there's another 1,200 board feet. Now, you know, since I put that lumber in the kiln and I've cut this lumber has doubled in price. Now a lot of it's framing lumber. Sometimes some of this stuff, oak and things, hasn't quite gone up as badly as 2x4s have, but nonetheless the price still goes up. The point is that you have to keep an eye on that and sell at a reasonable cost, you know, at a reasonable price. That will help you to stay in business. The one thing that I noticed, it's carpenters who are in business for themselves, builders who are small builders building one house a year or maybe two houses a year, and you know, a couple of garages or an addition or so. Most of these people do not keep track of the money the way they should. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some guys who are really good at it and they build a small amount but they still make good money. Now, here's the thing. Good money to one person might not be good money to another. For instance, when I was working, I would charge, you're only talking a couple of years ago, I would charge as much as $300 an hour to have a crew of 3 guys come there and work. And you're talking probably $12 an hour for each guy, maybe $15 for a guy that was running the job. So that was nowhere near what the $300 was. The $300 is what helped to pay for all of the expenses that the company would, come upon with lumber pricing and anything else. The price of a truck. I mean, let's face it, if I have a job to do and all of a sudden my truck breaks down, I need the truck fixed. If I can't fix the truck, I need to buy another truck. Today, trucks are $50,000. So you've got to be prepared for that stuff and, be able to buy that when you need it. So anyway, the one thing that I wanted to talk about here is when you're running your sawmill, like this sawmill was roughly $7,500. I'd say the sawmill will probably last, I don't know, I'll put a good 10-year tag on it, 10 years. So you got to break down what $7,500 does in 10 years, plus any kind of insurance you have to have, the spot it takes up when your property has to be charged in there with lumber. All those things most guys don't even do. Even some companies around here where I'm at, I go and I talk to them about the price of stuff, and they're just not, it's just not happening for them. So a couple of them, though, that are really good, they'll have their lumber yards right now filled to the brim with cut lumber, knowing that they'll be able to sell it for whatever they need for it, not just get for it, but they need for it to be able to pay their bills. And what happens is a lot of people don't do that. For instance, you get a guy with a carpenter and a pickup truck. Okay, the guy goes and he does some work somewhere, and they'll charge a certain amount of money for it. And the problem with what they're charging, it doesn't pay taxes, it doesn't pay for the truck, it doesn't pay for their phone, and typically they're going broke very slowly. So if you get somebody who basically has a new truck, even though you can afford to make the payments for it, you have somebody getting a new truck, not only do you have to charge to be able to make the payment on your truck, you've got to be able to charge enough to recover for the new truck payment that's going to come up in 3 to 5 years. And once you start to realize what that is, then you start to understand why you have to charge like 25% more for a profit, which covers those additional costs later on. Now the profit has to be something that's going to make your business grow. If I have a profit, I can buy another sawmill if I need to, or I can buy another, new parts if I need to, without any real headaches. And those things get broken down into different categories so that you know where to put your money. Instead of taking the money from a job and putting it all in one place, your checking account, you should be taking the money from any job you do. I don't care what it is. Whether you're sweeping floors, cleaning houses, or whether you're building buildings or sawing sawmill wood, you've got to be able to take profit and put it away. Put it away. You can't be spending your profit. Okay? I mean, for somebody like me, no one was going to give me what I needed for wages after I retired. I had to have, some money put away so that I could get money from that. And I did that. But a lot of people don't do that. They think that Social Security is going to carry you. And look, I'm not saying Social Security is bad in this country. It's a good amount of money. And, with the insurance you get and stuff, I would imagine people can make ends meet. But not everybody. And if you're one of these who've been pissing money away, or if you're one of these who have been spending money anywhere you want, anytime you want, by the time you get to retirement, you're going to be hurting. So you've got to know how to hang on to things. So when it comes to this lumber here, the lumber that's inside the kiln on that side has been in there for more than a year, but it's still at the percentage of moisture that it's good lumber. The thing is I'm not really interested in selling lumber when the prices are doubling and stuff as we go from day to day. Now over on the other side there, behind the camera, I have a pile of lumber that I want to use to build the garage. Now that lumber was cut according to what I needed, cut to a material list, and stacked up there and left to sit. It's in its second year of drying. It's down to around 19%, which around Pennsylvania, that's a good, way to go. If I would have had to buy the stuff for the garage now, you'd probably be talking $4,000 to $6,000 for this little 12 by 24 garage, when in reality, I probably paid $1,500 to have that same wood, which included all the cutting and everything. Now that's myself doing it, not charging anything, just myself doing it. So you're looking at $1,500 worth of material compared to $4,000 worth of material. The material is the same stuff. Yes, this is rough cut, but I could plane it if I had to, and it ain't going to cost me that much to plane it, but I don't need to plane it. The point is that I'm getting at here is people are not learning how to handle money, and the more people that I come see down the pike, that come around and talk to me and stuff, they really are ignorant about this. There are a few who understand what they're doing. They don't buy a truck every year just because they want a truck. You buy a new truck every year just because you want one. You got to realize that by the time you're in old age, you may not have the money to buy what you want. You may have to buy what you have to buy. So all I'm saying is, I had bought in my lifetime around 50 new pickup trucks. And right now, the newest truck I have is a 2002, but it's only got 60,000 miles on it. So what am I worried about? I'm not putting any mileage on trucks right now. But when it comes to things like lumber, I'm still not done with the building I want to do. Guys know I'm working on a deck up there. I'm doing trim work. That trim saved me so much money. I saved at least $8,000 on trim by buying the sawmill and cutting my own oak trees down. Unbelievable how much I saved on that. And the more the prices of stuff go up, the more the price of the house goes up. And I want you to think about that. If that house, I have $80,000 into the house, if it has $80,000 into it, and the price of lumber has doubled, and let's say everything else has doubled, maybe it hasn't, maybe it has, you're looking at $160,000. So if somebody wants to buy a house now, which I wouldn't recommend, but I'm just saying if they need it, they need it. If you buy a house now for $160,000, you're buying a house that was 5 years ago $80,000. The point is that the person who's selling it has to know that. Just recently I saw a guy would put a house up for sale and he was selling for 2 year ago prices. Well, if you're selling it for prices from 2 years ago, chances are that right now you haven't even gotten your money out of the house yet. So, they tend to forget that they paid interest on all those loans. They forget what it cost them to buy all the things they buy for the house. And instead they sell it for what the real estate broker says they should get for it. Some real estate brokers are okay, they'll tell you the truth about stuff, and some are just not. I mean, even though they want to get it, get houses cheap so they can sell them and make money, the point is that they don't really know what the price of a house is worth. They pick an area. How do they price a house for you? They pick 3 other houses that look like yours and tell you the price. If your house is 5 years old and the other houses they looked at is 10 years old, there's a major difference in price, and they don't seem to understand that. But if you're going to make money, make it, earn it, and put it in your bank account. You've got to know what the price of things are. And all I'm saying is that right now, this lumber sitting here is making more money for me by the way the prices are jumping than if I cut lumber every day and sell as much as I can. So what's wrong with that? Well, here's what's wrong with it. We have some lumber mills up here who have people working for them. Maybe 20, 30, 40 people working in the lumber yard and in the lumber mill. And they have to have truckloads of logs be brought in every day in order to keep going. The problem with that is when the price of lumber goes up and the sales that they have goes down, then they're not making any extra money, and they're not charging what the lumber is actually worth. Right now, if you go to lumber mills, you can buy lumber for pretty much the same price you were buying it for 5 years ago. It hasn't changed, and that's where these guys hurt themselves. What they do is they buy a sawmill. They don't care about anything other than sawing wood, and when they saw it, they tend to sell it at the cost that it cost them at a certain time, and as they grow and they develop, all they do is cut more wood. Okay, that's the name of their game. We have to cut more wood in order to make money. That can't be further from the truth. I have made more money in my lifetime waiting for the prices to go up on things than I have selling them day by day by day. Now don't get me wrong, you need to sell stuff day by day just to have a regular income. But you can't expect it to pay for everything when the economy changes and the price jumps up. You know, this thing with this virus that we had going around is probably the worst thing that's ever hit this country in the past 50 years. I mean, it literally shut businesses down, and the government shut them down. The government who takes your taxes off you told you to shut down. You're not allowed to be open, or you're only allowed to be open so many days, or you're only allowed to have so many stools open in your business. That's nonsense. I don't agree with that, and I don't think that that should have took place. However, you know, you got to realize this virus was catching on pretty good, and a lot of people were hurt by it. So I don't have the answer to the virus question, but the answer to the money question I do have. You should have been saving your money long before this. I've seen businesses in the past 3 years come into existence, and they're gone already. They came in as a restaurant, they're gone. In town there's a restaurant in there that's in a prime location. It's right on the main street. 5 people have opened up a restaurant there and gone out of business within the past 5 years. Because everybody that opens up sells bacon and eggs and stuff for 99 cents rather than selling it for what it needs to be sold for. And the guy who sells the stuff for what it needs to be sold for has a smaller amount of people running through his business, but he's making the money that he's spending, you know, to get back that he needs, as opposed to somebody who's going to sell for a cheap price, get a lot of people there, and at the end of the day find out you're 10 cents less in the kitty than when you started the day. I've tried going over this on YouTube, and it doesn't seem like there's too many people involved with this or care about it. But I'm just telling you, if you need to make money and earn money and you want to have things, I have 4 trucks and no car payments. Think about that, okay? My house, I have no payment on the house. I mean, it's that simple. It's just a matter of paying for things as you get them. You know, and you can do that if you're prepared for it. I mean, if you're 18 years old, 19 years old, you get married, you have a job, and you buy a house for $200,000 and you're in debt for 30 years, and you never pay any extra money on the house payment, you're a fool, because by the time you're ready to sell that, the interest that's added to your loan over the years, you're never going to get back. Most people do not get their money back after they sell their home. Some do, most don't. Right now would be an ideal time to sell at a price that reflects what things cost today. Because first of all, there's not a lot of people out there buying because of the prices. But the reason I'm saying it's good is because the people who do buy will recognize, you know, what they're getting and put the money out for it. So it's hard to say how people are going to react. I really don't care how they act anymore. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. When I was in business, I charged according to how much money was needed for that project. I mean, I could build a house one day for a guy for $10,000, and the next week, the same garage, exact same garage, nothing different, could possibly be, you know, $15,000, and then go back down to 8 come winter. It all depends on what's needed and how the prices of things are running. But like I say, for right now, this lumber that I have sitting here is doubling in price, and all it's doing is sitting. I'm not moving, I'm not buying a truck to move stuff, it's costing me money to do anything other than to run those fans, and the fans are very cheap to run. So I'm just telling you that, you know, having a sawmill right now and stacking up good lumber and drying it right is the best way to go. You can't be wrong at this, because you're putting away lumber that's doubling in price every day. So anyway, guys, I hope you understand that. If you have questions, you know, don't be afraid to ask them. But I'm not afraid of the economy and what the economy does. I really am not, because after going through 50 years of it, I know what to do with it, and that is to save. Hang on to money that you need in the future. How much is that going to be? Nobody knows. But as long as you hang on to more than you have at the moment, you're going to be better off than somebody who doesn't hang on. okay? So, you know, if you're in business and you can put a little extra on everything, and you just got to watch how you do it, you'll be fine. You know, if you need to hire top-notch guys because the prices are high and you need things to get done quicker, then do that. You know, don't keep the same things you were keeping and paying out money that you spent. So anyway, that's part of my advice to guys who are in business today in the construction trades and not knowing what to do about this stuff. You've got to come up with good prices, and you have to know what the price of things are. And the prices have to be for real. That's all I can tell you. Anyway, guys, have a good one. And it's October, you know already. This weather's been unbelievable. It's actually fairly warm. I mean, it's colder today than most days. Probably around 40 today. But it's not freezing. That's all that matters for me this time of the year at my age. So I'm going to be putting some more videos up of cutting some stuff as soon as I get a stack of lumber in, or logs in. I haven't really got any, but all I know is that I look over there at my pile of lumber that I have for my garage, and it makes me smile every time I check out Lowe's and look at the price. It's unbelievable, and I'm just glad that I have that. And when I had my lumber yard and I had all lumber of all kinds sitting there, I remember the same thing, how happy I would be when I see it sit there. And the thing about it is, even though the price may go down in spring, usually it doesn't drop that much. Now, I don't know what's going to happen here. Lumber may drop pretty good. But if you have lumber and you want to sell it, now would be the time to sell it. And there's a lot of people who are wanting to buy stuff and do things, and they're afraid to do it because they're not sure of the price. They think that come spring the price may go down. Maybe the price will, but come spring maybe the price will go up. You know, if a lot of people wait and all of a sudden a lot of people are wanting things built, the price of stuff will go up, not down. So, alright, have a good one, guys.